primary ignition.
Double for Ahsoka on Clone Wars Season 7. Be on the lookout for Summer of Snips on the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hey everybody!
We're only 5 minutes late.
Yeah. It was
And
important
to be fair,
we had.
Exactly. To be fair, as soon as I saw that the chopper lounge fly was dropping at Cordy's Corner at 9 o'clock, the first thing I put into our chat was, y'all, we need to start 5 minutes late. So,
hi Jen, hi Spencer, hi John.
I don't feel too bad about that.
Oh my god, yeah, angry. Hi Lila. Yeah, it's just madness. When you have money set aside for things to get you through the week and the credit card comes, it's like, nope, we're going to charge you twice for a payment. And it's just like, everything I had is gone. So
it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right till Friday.
I hope so, because it's Chopper, you know.
He's real cute. He's got his, like, angry arms.
I know!
Every time I do this, I feel like Dr. Zoidberg, but, you know.
Yeah. I like the hands on the hips thing that like, Spencer says murder bag. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for full disclosure, mine is not going to see the light of day. A, because I don't trust Chopper in public, and B, because I don't trust those arms to not go flying off somewhere at Disney World. But, you know, he's going to look cute on my shelf with his
I'm just saying,
potato Hera.
I got the Ahsoka one. They had the exclusive Ahsoka from Clone Wars Season 7, and the Montreal's held up well, so...
Yeah, see, I don't know. I have a toddler, so I mean, that's the other issue is...
yeah.
My Sabine will try to make friends with her droid, which is appropriate. But, you know.
Speaking of Sabine.
Yeah. How's that for a segue?
Yes. Okay. This week we are discussing everybody's favorite Imperial deserter / munitions expert / artist.
Little of everything.
Sector 5.
Yeah, sis was busy. She's you know, like 16 years old, and she's got a lot going on. So thank you, Sarah, for validating all of my life choices. I appreciate you.
My Obi-Wan bag is still not in the light of day.
Yeah, so welcome to episode 4, Daughters of the Galaxy. Today is Wednesday, July 19th. I swear there's rhyme and reason to this schedule, right? So we're still deep in our Summer of Snips programming because we are like, oh my gosh, what, like a month and 4 days away from Ahsoka premiering?
Yeah, hyped. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's
I know.
I get it. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. And if you've been keeping up with us for the last 4 episodes, you know that we've been really trying to kind of have each of these episodes really feed into each other. So last week we spent a lot of time gushing over how much we love Hera Syndulla. And we know, of course, that Hera is going to be a key player in this Ahsoka show coming up. And she will, of course, be a key player with Sabine. So there's lots to kind of catch up on. We're going to use this time together to maybe revisit some of Sabine's history, talk about some of her best moments in Rebels, maybe do a little bit of speculation with what we may or may not see in Ahsoka, because I find it wild that people are speculating more about Sabine Wren than they are Ahsoka Tano, which is kind of bonkers.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, this is the first time we get to see Sabine in live action. So we've seen Ahsoka for a while. We've seen her with Grogu and Luke and with the Mandalorian and fighting the Magistrate. So the ground is built. It's just a matter of how is she going to be with the Ghost Crew.
Yeah, so there's lots and lots to discuss, and shocking to nobody, I came prepared with books. See, I'm getting smarter. I'm like keeping them next to me now, because I know that inevitably it's like the show turns into me screaming about a book or 6. So,
but by the way, check out Jamie's gear tonight, like this jacket, the Sabine Wren jacket from her universe, which I was not able to get at Celebration Chicago 2019. But yeah,
so
it went fast.
these shows always become a challenge for me because I'm like, oh God, what do I wear next? And I have to tell you, I'm sitting here very warm in Florida, and it may come off shortly because it's warm. But you know,
But
we
if
do what we
it
gotta do for fashion.
does, you are prepared because what do you have
Wha-bam!
underneath it? Check this shirt out from the Night Squadron.
The Night Squadron. So
Gorgeous.
so we'll throw some links. Well, if anybody is looking, because I know I get a lot of these questions actually on Instagram, which is really nice, and I'm like weirdly flattered. People are like, where'd that shirt come from? And I'm like, yeah, let me send you a small business. So if anybody's interested, either hit me up on Instagram, or I'll just post them in the comments later. The Night Squadron is a tattoo artist. He's currently in Japan, but he's from Mexico and does a lot of really cool line art for all sorts of Star Wars characters. So yeah, this is his colored Sabine version. I also have it in black and white because he's a lovely dude.
Yes.
He done some custom artwork for my Sabine. So like, we love Mario. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. I finally got one of his shirts. I got the Ghost Crew mural, which, by the way, our Eye in the Sky in San Diego at San Diego Comic-Con, Mark just posted in our text chat that the mural from Ahsoka that Sabine Wren has painted is at the Lucasfilm Pavilion at San Diego Comic-Con. So once again, that mural is just following Mark across the country, across the world.
Yeah, plan your outfits. Go get your selfies. Photoshop us in them because neither of us are at San Diego. So,
so if you're going to San Diego Comic-Con, make sure you get photos in front of that mural so we can live vicariously through you.
Listen, just find somebody in the crowd, pull them into your photo. You don't even have to know them, and then just Photoshop our faces on them. Just make sure they're well dressed. That's all I ask.
Make sure they look good. Yeah, seriously. We are like walking. If there is anything Rebels, we will sniff it out and
we also probably have it. Yeah. We probably have it somewhere in our collective messes.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
So anyway, gosh, we should probably start talking about Sabine, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, we were, but we
were
close.
Distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about Sabine. So I think before we can talk about Sabine proper, right, we kind of have to talk about her family a little bit, because I have to tell you, and I'm going to go full disclosure, and it's going to be live on YouTube forever, and I'm sure somebody's going to eventually find me and scream at me and yell at me, but like, I got to tell you, the Mandalorian conflict across the board and like Mandalorian history is so freaking confusing. And it's like, there are so many little groups of Mandalorians fighting other Mandalorians, and these Mandos hate those Mandos, and these Mandos live in some weird, like, they live on a moon. And it's the Mandalorian history is so bonkers and so crazy, and it gets a little bit complicated to keep up with. So with that in mind, we're going to do a really high level kind of look at who Sabine is as far as Mandalorian, I guess, history goes, right? So she's the daughter of Ursa Wren. Ursa Wren, famously a pirate Mandos, famously of the Night Watch. So let's talk about the Night Watch. The Night Watch. I'm thinking about the Night Owls and the Death Watch. See, it's already happening. Like, somebody in the comments is going to be like, fire this woman immediately.
Come on now.
The Death Watch. So Ursa is famously a member of the Death Watch, who, if we go back in the Clone Wars, were the Mandos that didn't like Satine. They didn't like the pacifist rule of Mandalore. These are, they're warriors, and they didn't think that they should be under a pacifist rule. They really wanted to embrace that warrior sort of culture and way of life. So Ursa herself, as Sabine's mom, has had kind of a complicated, one might argue, terrorist way of life, depending on what side you're on. Right?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, she was a terrorist. From a certain point of view.
Exactly.
The popular point of view, Ursa Wren was a terrorist. I said what I said. But she's kind of balanced out, right, by this artist. This artist guy, Ulrich Wren, who is Sabine's dad.
He's awesome. He's, like, honestly, that man just, like, so loved.
Oh, Sarah, you say, isn't Death Watch also the group that backed Maul? Sure is. It sure is. Not only did they back Maul, they ended up turning into Maul Shadow Collective, and then in this weird timeline that we're in right now with the Mandalorian, the Shadow Collective splits into the Mandalorian. What is it called? I took notes. The Mandalorian Resistance, led by Bo-Katan, and then the others that end up staying loyal to Maul's ways, which are the Mandalorian Super
The
Commandos.
Maldalorians, as John
The
says.
Maldalorian Super Commandos.
Yeah, accurate.
I want to make it really clear that if any of you have the coveted skill of being able to look at a lineup of Mandalorians wearing different armor and telling me which group they belong to, you have all of my undying love and appreciation and respect, because
For real. I mean, I have
Sam,
friends
that's not
that
me.
can do that.
It ain't me.
But it ain't me. No, I can't do it.
It ain't me.
I'll
I think
back to my Mandalorian costuming friends, James and the crew. Yeah.
yeah, and like the horns thing, which is always really confusing because like some of them have horns. And the one thing that I do know that I love so much about Mandalorian armor is actually, of course, Sabine's armor. It's that night owl helmet with a very sort of angled, rounded T-visor, which is really cool. So but all of this to say, this is really important background for Sabine as a character, because, you know, in last week's or our last episode, we talked about Hera being, you know, really forged by war, and she's always been in a war. Well, Sabine's whole lifestyle has been, you know, her whole family history, her whole lifestyle has really been a war, but like on her own planet.
Like, honestly, like these people, like it, as you said, it's just a mess. And
it's a mess.
When you throw your daughter basically at your child at the Empire, or they threaten to kill everybody on your planet, it's just...
Well, right, so let's talk about that, right? So just when the Mandalorian conflict can't get any more complicated and stupid, here comes the Empire to be like, guess what? We're building an Imperial Academy on your planet.
Deal with it. Yeah.
Deal with it.
We're going to take all of your resources, too, while we're at it.
Right? So, listen, Mandalore has been through it, and you could argue that some of Mandalore going through it has been their own fault, but some of it is definitely left to the Empire.
Yeah.
So little Sabine gets thrown into the Imperial Academy on Mandalore, where, you know, they lean really hard into her knowledge of weaponry and teach her all sorts of cool things about weaponry and how to build certain weapons and
her creativity.
Yeah,
her creativity kind of is used against her.
Correct.
And against her own people.
Yeah, right?
By having to make that the Beskar armor sensing explosives enthusiast.
Yeah. She's an explosives enthusiast.
Nailed it.
So Homegirl builds the first arc pulse generator.
Right? Like a child builds this.
Yeah. So
driving that
we know
home.
Yeah, she has, because this is the thing. So what we need to remember, and last time with Hera, we really talked about like ages, because Star Wars time is really funny. So this is all before Sabine joins the Ghost Crew. Sabine is 16 when she joins the Ghost Crew. So for perspective, I mean, she's a young teenager in this Imperial Academy, and she builds this this crazy weapon, this arc pulse generator, which, just like Ashley said, it has the ability to detect Beskar and basically fry the Beskar, turn it to dust, and of course turn everybody wearing the Beskar to dust. And as we now know from the Mandalorian, gosh, what is Mandalorian armor made out of? Beskar. So it's like, yeah, so it's like she's built this weapon to almost commit genocide to her own people.
It's true. And the guilt, okay, the guilt that you force on a child to protect your people, Ursa, against the Empire, allows the Empire to kill your people anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, and
I just,
let alone like the horror of, you know, killing your people, right? Like, also consider, you know, Sabine's armor is such a thing of beauty in 4 seasons of Rebels, and it changes in all 4 seasons of Rebels, and, you know, it's her own artwork and her
favorite.
own kind of, yeah, right? It's beautiful. Like, and it's her own
take
on what she loves and what's important to her on her armor. And Mandalorian armor is, so personal, and it's like something that's passed from family to family member to family member and generation to generation. So not only are you killing the person wearing this armor, but you're obliterating the, like, it would be like Hera turning her Calicori to dust, right?
Yeah, it's like family heirlooms. Be damned.
It is. It's a family heirloom, and it gets annihilated by this weapon that Sabine Wren has created for the Empire. So, I think she kind of has that crisis of conscience, right? Where she's like,
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. I gotta go. And so she breaks out of the Imperial Academy with her pal Ketsu. Good old Ketsu Onyo.
Voiced by Gina Torres of Firefly fame.
And she makes a life on the run. She becomes sort of a bounty hunter for hire with Ketsu, and they're thinking they're gonna join, the Black, what is it, the Black Sun? Is that right?
Black Sun, yep.
All these like little sects, like all these sects totally get me. I'm like, which group are these guys again? It gets really complicated.
This is why we walk you guys through it.
And this, honestly, it's good for us too. So she joins up Ketsu. They have a really ugly conflict. They went from being super good friends to Sabine kind of starting to call out Ketsu on being maybe a little greedy. And Ketsu kind of leaves her for dead.
Ooh.
So that kind of leads us to the beginning of her story with the Ghost Crew. And she joins up at Kanan Jarrus's request, sort of seeing something in her, which I like to think he's kind of seeing a lot of his own struggle within, this young kid. And she joins up on the Ghost Crew, making the 5th member of the Ghost Crew. Of course, that means that her call sign is Spectre 5.
So you can see on Sabine's shoulder where all the checkered board is. It is the Arabesh symbol for 5. Yeah. So it's not on Jamie's shoulder, but it is in
I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah, just patch it on. I'm sure you have patches.
I do.
Yeah, I'm sure you just have them.
I do. Right. So we don't get to see a lot of her sort of beginnings with the Ghost Crew, because by the time the show obviously starts from the perspective of Ezra. So we don't really see a lot of her struggle, but y'all know me. I brought some books. So if you're interested in some of Sabine's like really personal stuff, this is actually a kid's book. There aren't a lot of like adult literature books out there for Sabine. They're mostly geared towards kids, but this is actually one of my favorites. I love this book. It's super cute and it's like just a fun, easy read. That way. Yeah. I always get it backwards. So this is called Sabine, My Rebel Sketchbook. It's a kid's book. It's like a picture book, but like it's fun because it's all written. I still get it backwards. It's all written like from her perspective, and it's got some of her like sketches and things. Like this is a great page for sketches. And it kind of talks about her feeling towards the other characters and towards certain missions that they go on, different experiences and things that they have. And it's just fun because it's like, it really kind of just, it's meant to feel like her, still backwards.
Fun at the elementary school book fair.
It is fun at the elementary school book fair. And honestly, I bought it secondhand because it's out of print now. But yeah, it probably came from like, it literally has like the library binding on the side. It probably came from an elementary school. Yeah. I will not be called out this way. I love my elementary school books. But it is fun.
I remember that crisp $20 burning a hole in your pocket when you saw those posters and those comics. Yeah.
I was a sucker for it every time. Fun book, gives some neat Sabine perspective. So that's one. And then the other two, if you tuned into our Hera show, I talked a lot about Forces of Destiny because there are a lot of really fun sort of like canon scenes with Hera.
Fantastic episodes. Yeah.
They're like short. They're like 3 or 4 minute long. Like they're not long, but like, see, still backwards.
Yes,
when am I going to get that right?
Reading.
So this one actually, if Bree is in the chat, my friend Bree gave to my daughter Sabine. This one is a kid's book with lots of pictures and things in it, but it's called Tales of Hope and Courage, and there is some stuff in there with Sabine and Ketsu. And then this one is the Forces of Destiny trade for all the comics, and there are some fun. I believe it's actually Hera and Sabine in this one. But they're fun, easy reads, and it gives you just a little bit more perspective about what Hera. Hi, Bree. Thanks for the book. You know,
And
it's my favorite thing right now until Sabine can read it.
And there's also the Rebels graphic novel. It's based on the animated series, and it bridges the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. But the art is really good in the middle of it, and I don't know if you can guess. You can kind of see. And
so these books are, I wouldn't say they're required reading, but
they're just fun. Yeah,
they're fun, but I think a lot of these like little snippets will give you just a little bit more perspective about who Sabine sort of is. Some of the missions and things that they've gone on, some of her perspective of like how the missions have gone, because she, for all intents and purposes, was kind of like this angsty teen when she joined the crew, and she had a lot to be angsty about and a lot of reasons to not trust the Ghost crew given her history. And seeing her kind of come around to a point where, you know, she would lay it all out in the line to save and to protect these people. I think anything you can get your hands on is important context.
Commander
What you got
Sato.
there?
Commander Sato and Sabine teaming up on a mission.
We love to see it.
Yeah, going back up to Keone Young, who is lovely on Rebels Revisited. Yes, definitely check out that graphic novel, Sarah. It's fun.
Yeah, so one of the things that always catches me off guard with Sabine, and for those of you who have watched for a while, my kid is named Sabine. My daughter's named Sabine.
And she's the cutest.
She's pretty cool. But you know, there were a lot of personality traits and a lot of resilience that I saw in Sabine that I thought was such a special thing, and that really like stuck with me, because this is a kid who has been through hell and back, but still shows that loyalty, not just to her adoptive family, but she has this really beautiful sort of coming around moment, coming to terms with her blood family, which I think is so interesting because, you know, topics of family and complete families and things like that in Star Wars are always a bit touch and go. You know, we rely so much on found family in Star Wars, but to have that moment of coming back to her blood family, I think is
it's pretty rare. Yeah.
And it
doesn't get to happen very often.
And it's tragic because it's, you know, as we're going to talk about some of the episode breakdowns and some of the things that you probably should watch going into Ahsoka, but really you should watch the whole thing, like watch all 4 seasons.
Facts.
But
we're gonna tell you to watch all 4 seasons of the show.
Ashley Eckstein just said it, so
thank you, Ashley. You know.
So you know, one of the most poignant things with Sabine is that she has this terrible moment where she sees her weapon fired on her family. And that moment where she thinks her family is gone by her own hands. What?
Yeah.
It's just...
No, that was probably like, and that's where they leave it. And it's like, man, if they don't have the other episode, like right after this, I'm going to be so pissed. So Mark and I were talking about this on the show. Thank God they didn't leave it as a cliffhanger and they did it as a 2-episode premiere, because I would have been like, they just killed off their entire family, like losing my mind and not being able to hold it in for a week.
Yeah, you know, the other thing that really like gets me with that episode is that they use the same Ash animation for the Duchess as they do when Kanan goes boom. It's like the same Ash animation. It gets me every time. So now every time I see Ash, I'm like deeply, deeply, deeply upset by it, because I'm just like, oh boy.
I think I blocked out the Kanan goes boom Ash, but now I'm extra curious and I don't want to have to watch it again. But
it's the bumper at the end of the episode, like before the credits roll. It's just all Ash. Yeah, it's super depressing. Super depressing.
Damn. No. No.
Thanos in the chat right now.
No, Thanos Kanan. No.
So what do you think, Ashley? Should we start from the top and think about some good Sabine episodes to get everybody primed for Ahsoka? Because I got a couple in mind.
Definitely. I really like, and I'm just gonna jump right into it, because to me it's like I relate to Sabine a lot, like not only being an artist but also having issues with your mother and with your family and them not understanding you and having to strike your own way and having to deal with the found family and just finding your own worth within yourself. so I relate to her more so than any character in Star Wars, to be honest with you. And the episode that brought all that to the forefront, like gave you, before you even got to the Wren clan and anything like that, was Trials of the Darksaber. Like that episode where like Kanan and Ezra and Fen Rao, to an extent, really get to know Sabine and what she went through before she joined the Ghost Crew. And it was like breaking the dam, and the emotion just flooded out, and it allowed her to wield the Darksaber and not be so like, encumbered by it.
Did you see the show notes I put in about Trials of the Darksaber?
No, what did you say? Okay, hold on.
I literally, so I'm a big list maker.
Leave
so
me here to die. These are my 2 favorite episodes of animated Star Wars ever. Girl has 5. Thank you.
Like Trials of the Darksaber. And I guess we'll jump ahead a little bit, because like I have a couple from season 1 and season 2 I want to talk about for sure. But like,
oh, hi
Trials
Ron. He's on his cruise.
Hey,
enjoy that fruity
drinks.
Yeah,
love that for you. Kind of jealous.
Yeah. Why aren't you in San Diego, bro? What the heck?
So Trials of the Darksaber takes place in season 3. It's like towards the middle, it's really, I guess, more towards the end of season 3.
Yeah,
middle
like
end of season 3.
3/4 of the way through. Yeah.
Right. So Sabine has this Darksaber, and she like really doesn't want it. She's like, I don't want to touch this thing. I know what it is. Like, I don't want to be involved with this. I want nothing to do with it. And they kind of realize that like, if Sabine wields this Darksaber, like that's a huge win for the rebellion, because she has the power to basically control Mandalore. I mean, she could bring those Mandalorians, unite them and have them kind of help fight for Hera's cause. So it's a little sneaky on behalf of like Kanan and Hera, because like she's saying, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. But like they understand that like this is a huge opportunity to help advance their rebellion, but also to perhaps, restore Mandalore, right? So she comes around and she really does, like, there's just so much blocked up like emotion and like aggression. She does not want to deal with this Darksaber. And of course Ezra's like, sort of egging her on a little bit, but like teasing her. It's like, oh, I'll train you how to use your fancy, white bladed lightsaber, like, or black blade, white blade, it kind of glows both.
Yeah.
Like, I'll teach you how to use your fancy, Mandalorian lightsaber. And she's like, whatever, you're ticking me off, like, stop. And it's Kanan that ends up really getting through to her. And that duel between Kanan and Sabine, specifically, like the moment that always sticks out in my head is when she kicks him in the chest.
Yeah.
He like goes back and she is just like tearing into him with like everything she's learned.
She is wailing at him. And
it's the most cathartic thing though, because she's telling her story and about how much she suffered and how much she felt like a disappointment, and she lost everything at the hands of the Empire, her family, her way of life, her home. And it's, I mean, I've seen it dozens of times at this point, and I still get super emotional watching Trials of the Darksaber. 2 episodes.
My favorite part is having it adds to it, like having Fen there, not only giving her the van braces, the Mandalorian van braces for her armor, which are really gorgeous. But he also kind of explains to her bits about her and her family and Mandalore and the Darksaber that Kanan and Ezra didn't know. And it kind of softens them up to her plight and gives them a little bit of view in the tradition of the Mandalorian culture. Like, these things are huge. Now, granted, using them as, lassos and attacking your enemy that way is not always a good thing, and it defeats the purpose of learning how to train. But I really think that this probably was a major episode for Dave Filoni as well, because it looks like we see Sabine's skills that she learned during the Trials of the Darksaber come back in Ahsoka.
Yeah, so we're kind of jumping all over the place here, but I think it is important to talk about it. It is what we do. Like, it's like herding cats sometimes. We get so excited. But we've seen now, 2 trailers for Ahsoka? 3 trailers for Ahsoka? 2 trailers for Ahsoka.
Technically 2 official trailers, but we kind of snuck in that
that like weird, like, we're not seeing this, but we're totally seeing this moment.
Right.
So I have to tell you, And Ashley and I could not be any more different about this impending Ahsoka show. We have very, very different points of view on this, and I think that's why it's going to make for such an interesting dialogue for us, not just on this show, but on other viewings, right? So in this new trailer that we've seen, there's a lot of Sabine focus on this new trailer. But there's a moment where she's wielding what is very clearly Ezra's lightsaber. So we know that she's whipping that thing around and she knows how to use it. But there's also a moment where across the table, she calls Ahsoka master. And I have to tell you, I know that there's a lot of enthusiasm and there was a lot of excitement around calling Ahsoka master. And now everybody is like wildly speculating, right? Like, is she force sensitive? Is she going to actually be trained? But here's the thing. This is why it's so important that we watch Rebels, because we need to go back and remember that it isn't Ahsoka who trained her how to duel. It was Kanan. And moreover, if Sabine is force sensitive, I have to believe that that is something that Kanan Jarrus would have picked up in 4 seasons of Rebels.
Right. Absolutely. There's a difference between training someone to wield a lightsaber, because it is their weapon of choice and it's their way of honoring their friend. Like Sabine has blasters, she has paint guns, she's a munitions expert. She could use anything as a weapon, but she chooses that lightsaber to honor her friend and, hopefully find him in some way and just continue his training and keeping his memory and Kanan's memory alive. Oh my gosh. If she's talking to Kanan, I'm gonna just lose it. Thank you, Dave. We have Dave producing for us this week because Mark is in San Diego. Someday we'll have him back.
So the other thing that I think is important to remember, whether it's a lightsaber or in this case the dark saber, is that these weapons are like Ashley said, they're like deeply personal, right? So there's a whole reason why the Jedi have they go on that quest for their kyber crystal, and there's a whole reason why the dark saber feels heavier in some hands than it does in others. Like we saw in The Mandalorian, that Din really struggles with the dark saber. Like he can't wield it the same way as others have or others do. So I guess I have a lot of trepidation about, it's Ahsoka that trained Sabine how to use a lightsaber, or if she probably won't see the dark saber in this because that's with Bo-Katan at this point. But we have to remember that it was Kanan that sort of did the lift. Okay, so Lila.
Yeah.
That's how I read it.
Me too.
So because you can kind of see she sort of has this sarcasm, like this sort of like lift to her lips, and she's kind of like doing the smirk thing. So I read it more as a Mandalorian dig as well. I read it more as Sabine just being Sabine, and being kind of like sarcastic about things. The internet clearly did not see the same things that I saw.
Nope.
So I just had to get my view out there.
Nope.
And I'm also not here to yuck your yum, right? So if that's what you want to think and you want to like hold on to that and embrace that, listen, you do you. I support that. Whatever. But that was sort of my read on it, and I will not stand for Kanan Jarrus disrespect in this house. That's all I have to say about that.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, I really think like during her time with Ahsoka, she did continue some lightsaber training. And whether it was while Ahsoka was in her travels or via hologram or in some form, yeah, I definitely think that was something she held on to. And the fact that like the lightsaber was so at the ready when the orange bladed, not a Sith, not a Jedi come in. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is going to depend so much on timeline, like because we saw a trailer, right? So we don't know where in this, if that's episode 1 or if that's episode 10, right? Like we don't know where in the timeline that kind of falls. Her hair was long in that though, right? It was long in that moment.
Yeah.
So it's probably towards the beginning.
Yeah. So she's just sitting in the chair and the table and just,
So we'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting, but for the record, it's going to live on YouTube forever. No, I do not believe that Sabine Wren is force sensitive.
Same. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Kanan picked up on Ezra like that.
Right.
The fact that all that time together, traveling together, living together, fighting together, nothing. No.
Yeah, I can't get behind that theory. Um so we went way ahead in the timeline because I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk about Heroes of Darkness, which is like episode 7 of season
We'll
1,
go
and we're
talk
like,
about
yes,
it then.
end
We
of
got
season
this.
3, let's go. Well, no, so okay, so I am like, I listen, I always feel bad when I say stuff like this because I don't want people to think that I'm like being unnecessarily aggressive, but I have a lot of really unpopular takes and a lot of things that I've been like straight up
Girl,
yelled at in
you are
certain communities for.
entitled to your opinion. This is a safe space, just so everybody we're clear. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. Abuse is not tolerated. No shenanigans.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and say, with all of the respect and the love and the adoration in the world that I have for Vanessa Marshall, that I absolutely cannot stand the space mom moniker for Hera, and here's why. That episode is called Into the Darkness, or Out of the Darkness, excuse me. I'm getting my High Republic stuff in my brain now.
It lives there now.
It's rent free, baby. So let's talk about Out of the Darkness for a second. So Out of the Darkness is such a great episode for Sabine. This takes place early in it's episode 7, and Sabine is like not having it with Hera. She is tired of Hera sort of doing like the secrecy thing. She's tired of Hera, not cluing her into these missions that she keeps getting thrown into, and these like moments where she's kind of like putting herself on the line to like do these things. Like, she needs to know who Fulcrum is. She needs to know who they're reporting to and what they're actually doing. And Hera's kind of being like coy about it, being like, well, I'll tell you when I'm ready. In that moment, as a diehard Hera Syndulla fan, like literally would lay on train tracks for this fictional character, absolutely love her. I gotta tell you, I'm on Team Sabine.
If they're going to sacrifice their well-being and their safety for something that's as unknown as Fulcrum, and which could lead to bigger trouble with the Empire should they get caught, you got to have the trust. If you're going to be a family,
there it is,
and you're going to be traveling together and fighting together and living together and possibly dying together, the trust needs to be there. And I totally agree with Sabine in this episode. And I get it. She's a child, and Hera's in her mid-20s at this point, and there's about 10 years difference between the two. But if you're going to expect them to give their life for a cause, you kind of have to be honest.
Well, and so before anybody in the chat jumps in and is like, oh, but that makes, some more danger for Sabine. It's like, what's the difference between that and Kanan calling himself Spectre 1 to throw them off the trail of Hera? You're right. I get it. Like, I understand that the more people you kind of clue into this like whole who's Fulcrum thing, like, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, when you have a child, and I'm going to keep calling her a child because she really was a child at that point. You have a child like Sabine who is so deeply traumatized from all of these like horrible things, that she's experienced. And she's literally laying it all on the line for your missions. Yeah. I do feel like that trust had to be earned. So Sarah says, okay, but see, I thought it was Hera who held back because it was a mandate from Fulcrum. A great take. I could see that. Fulcrum does the whole secrecy thing with like Kanan, like, oh, well, we're not gonna.
If we get caught and somebody tortures you, you still don't know anything. Like, there's that.
I guess my bigger issue with it is that
yeah,
my military
girl.
Background. I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah. I get it, and I respect that, and thank you for your service. Oh, my train of thought just did that thing where it went right off the cliff. It's fine. It'll come back. It always comes back, right? Right. Oh, no, my bigger issue isn't so let's put that twist on it. If it's a mandate from Fulcrum, there's a different way that Hera could have approached that conversation, I feel like, with Sabine, instead of being like, yeah, I'll tell you when I tell you. Like, everything about that was definitely like Team Sabine in that moment. And it did make me want to be so firmly in Sabine's corner to be like, sis, you got to tell these people what they're like working for, because there could have come a point where any of them could have upped and walked away and said, well, since you're not telling me what I'm fighting for, I'm not sure that I want to deal with this. And, the end, of course, Hera comes around and she's like, I know this is really hard, and I know that I'm asking you to do a lot of things that are really challenging, but you just have to trust me. And I got to tell you, in that moment, I I don't know that I could have been Sabine. But I'm also a little on the petty side, so there's that.
No, I totally understand it from both sides. But, if Fulcrum ends up revealing themselves later on anyway, I'm looking at you, Ahsoka Tano. I'm looking at you, Agent Callus. It led to a lot of discord, and that didn't need that hot Callus. Yes, it led to a lot of discord that didn't need to be there, and you want to be able to trust your chosen family, because other
For
than that,
sure.
it's the reason why you left your blood family, because you
For
didn't
sure.
trust them, and they sold you out to the Empire.
Well, but then also imagine like finally finding a place where like you do feel accepted and you do feel comfortable and like you have your own room and you're painting the walls and you are eating and sleeping and fighting with these people and going on missions with these people, and then to be like, well, we trust you, but we don't trust you. It definitely it was one of those moments where everyone's like, oh, Hera's space mom, and I'm like, she was kind of not a great mom in this moment.
Right.
There are
And
a couple
Sarah
other
said,
instances.
Sarah says she completely agrees. Hera handled it poorly, and that she thinks Hera's not used to being challenged.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like Kanan and Hera, 99%. Oh my God, no! They like 99% call the shots on this, and it's
So
just
inappropriate.
so inappropriate. Oh my God, no, no.
Oh my God, see
Oh my
me after
God.
class if you didn't get that reference. I'll send you a YouTube video.
Not the hangers. Ah. Anyway, but yeah, it's just they're so used to being like having their orders unquestioned, that the fact that they were like, Sabine was like, no, you need to tell us what's going on. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not throwing my life on the line for something that is unknown, and you don't even know what they are really planning. You're just gonna take orders from some hooded figure and a hologram. Like, it was just really um really a rough time for them, and
Yeah,
it brought them closer together, because I think they both just realized that they need to have that trust, and both of you, both of them, like each
for sure.
other. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, for sure. I agree. And I think this is where we get into some really interesting things with Rebels and why I feel like Rebels so often gets a bad rap. It's what I thought about Out of the Darkness. I use the word nuanced a lot. Because it is a very nuanced relationship between Hera and Sabine, and it's one where I, in so many ways, feel like Sabine was much closer with Kanan than I did with with Hera, excuse me. I feel like the relationship between her and Kanan was very different than the relationship between her and Hera. Um, and I think that was sort of a good example. Yeah, Bree says treating her like family and expecting her to be a soldier is a very hard mix. And
agreed.
that again is so much of the dynamic of Rebels. I mean, yep, and Sarah, I would agree with that. Sarah says, I
Yep.
always felt that the time frame was a big transition moment. They went from being an independent cell into being part of something bigger, and that caused a lot of growing pains. It absolutely did. I mean, we saw the growing pains between Kanan and Hera. We saw, Zeb, I think, was sort of the most relaxed of all of them, because like Homeboy has dealt with stuff like this before, I guess.
Yeah.
But Ezra, I think, was kind of going along with the flow. But Sabine really had a lot to lose, because she had seen what these types of decisions had done before, and what, losing that trust, losing that faith in somebody else had done before. And I think ultimately, when I think about why she was so reluctant to just sort of take Hera's answer, is she just wanted her place solidified in that family.
Yeah.
And to take it full circle to what we started this conversation with, is like, families need trust. And I don't think she could have dealt with losing her family, I mean, really a third time if you count Ketsu. So
Right.
she lost her blood family, she lost Ketsu, and then, losing the ghost family, that would have been a nightmare. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just it's something that they needed to discuss and rail together when they did. 'Cause can you imagine if they were into season 4 and all the chaos that happens in season 4, and they still don't trust each other, like,
Oh,
completely?
I mean, even sooner than season 4, right? Because like we go into like Fire Across the Galaxy.
Yeah. No, I'm just
So
saying, but like, if we went that long in the series without them having this conversation, like, it was just something that needed to be had.
Well, and also, I mean, we learn much later in season 4 that Hera deeply regrets not having certain conversations with certain crew members. So I think making that mistake twice would not have been a great moment for Queen Hera.
Yeah. Still sad. Still bitter.
Okay, so Lila says, okay, as a mom and a former military person myself, I was never in either of these roles. So I empathize with how things unfolded. Yeah, it's, but this is the beauty of it. And this is why when animated Star Wars gets a bad rap, I get really like up on my high horse about it, because there are so many complicated things that happen in this show. It's not like, okay, well, we're a bunch of animated characters and we're gonna go play with lightsabers and shoot down ships. Like there is that. Like there's plenty of that. But yeah,
Sorry.
but it's so much more nuanced than that and so much more complicated than that. And I think it's really handled very differently in this show than it is in a lot of other shows. So that's just me. So you said, imagine if we had gotten to season 4 without that being resolved. Imagine getting to like the next couple of episodes where Kanan gets arrested and they're like, we're going to go spring him. And Hera's like, no, we're not. And their kids are like, yeah, we are.
The kids are like, we're doing it anyway. Forget you.
Yeah.
And just,
yeah. Uncle Zeb and Sabine and her brightly colored TIE fighter are like, get in, Mom, we're going to save Dad.
Like, we saved the TIE fighter. You what? I told you to destroy that thing. Yeah, that was honestly, it was, and even Hera admits it later, like she was glad that she listened, that they didn't listen to her and they went out and did it anyway, even though it was very, very dangerous. And that TIE fighter you could see from hyperspace.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And like the logic was flawless, right? She's like, you'll be able to see it, but she's like, a ship detector is not going to be able to see what color it's painted. And I'm like, yeah, girl. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, go put some more fluorescent paint on that thing. Let's party. So I generally, as a rule, don't like any of the Imperial ships, but man, I loved that TIE fighter. Whew, I love that TIE fighter.
It is so cool. If we get a HasLab for a TIE fighter, like that needs to be happening. I'm telling you.
I'm already poor. Let's not tempt fate here. I already have money.
Facts. Yeah, I hear you.
So some other great episodes to kind of keep in mind as we get into Ahsoka. Will this directly impact Ahsoka? No, but it's an important sort of moment in Hera's. I keep saying Hera. One track mind. It's an important moment for Sabine. Happens in season 2 is when we see Ketsu Onyo for the first time.
Yes. Once again, played Tina Torres.
Yep.
It's
what do you think? Are we going to see Ketsu and Ahsoka?
And maybe if they continued like a spin-off of like Rebels and just kept going, I think we'd see Ketsu. But it might be cool in some way.
So like we know she makes it because she survives through the end of the Battle of Lothal.
Right.
So like we know she makes it. So like
yeah, I mean, and Tina Torres playing her, like
wouldn't be mad about that.
Right.
I would be really into that actually.
She's perfect. She's brilliant. She's beautiful.
Yeah, so it just sort of gives you that background of like another time when the people that Sabine trusted kind of let her down a little bit. And she was, when a mission went belly up and she got she accused Ketsu of being a little too greedy, and Ketsu pretty much left the poor girl for dead, which like traumatizing for your BFF. So, yeah, so Ketsu is an interesting character. They obviously come back around and they end up sort of rebuilding their friendship, as we know from that episode of Rebels. Ketsu ends up kind of
thank you.
Frenemies is right.
Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
but Ketsu comes around and of course helps them out and gives them the moment to escape, I guess, which is nice.
Her armor is so cool too. Like
it is really
her
cool.
Hair, her
cool
armor.
Hair. Yeah.
I've love her.
Ketsu comes up quite a bit in Forces of Destiny, so like I wouldn't be mad about seeing Ketsu come back. I also will tell you another unpopular opinion, because like listen, I'm just gonna get a t-shirt.
Another unpopular opinion.
Another unpopular opinion. Gosh darn it. I don't lean into this
Spencer,
one too
are you
hard.
listening? David, Jeff,
Spencer's listening.
He's
Spencer's
always
always listening. um, the oh god, do I even say it? I'm just gonna say it and I'm gonna die on this hill. Gosh darn it. I absolutely cannot stand the idea of Ezra and Sabine being in a romantic relationship because frankly
Thank
I like
you.
the idea of her being with Ketsu a lot more. I don't think about it too much because it is weird because like they're basically kids, so that's like weird, but I can't get behind the whole like we're brothers and sisters, but like now we're in this romantic relationship, which like let me tell you, if this happens in Ahsoka, you'll hear the screams. Like wherever you are, I will be screaming and breaking plates in Orlando, Florida, and you'll hear all of them. Whew. Anyway, we should probably change the subject before this gets weird.
I don't think Sabine needs a romantic relationship. I
I would
really
agree.
don't. It's just refreshing to just have a character be fine, like Ahsoka. Like just be fine as is. But yeah, I think her love and her sadness for not only losing Ezra but losing Kanan, like these people, like you said, were her family, and if she has to get the closure, she's seeking closure in this, and finding Ezra, whether he's alive or dead or anything is confirmed, is going to be her closure. Yes, thank you, Lila. Any romantic
I've
storyline
found
would
my
be just
people. I have
Yes.
found my people. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Lila. I feel a lot more validated in my life choices. I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
You get it. You understand. Thank you so
Totally.
much. So yeah, we're leaning hard into that. It's a little worrying, right? Because we've seen all this like sad girl Summer Sabine with her like hair grown out. We need to talk about this timeline again though, because I am making myself the queen of timelines just because it is so complicated and so messy in Star Wars. From the end of the finale of Rebels season 4 to the beginning of Ahsoka, it's like 10 years. Has Sabine really been holed up in that comms tower for like 10 years, growing her
I
hair
thought
out and
they
like being
blew up
sad?
that comms tower. Maybe they rebuilt it after the
That's
Battle of the
definitely
Fall.
Ezra's. It's definitely
Yeah.
like Ezra's comm tower. So
Yeah. It's got
I have a lot of
the anti bucket head on the wall. It's got
Mhm.
helmets everywhere, so it's still very much
I got a
part of it.
lot of questions about what Homegirl's been doing in that comm tower for 10 years because again, one of my biggest upsets with this show is like I just don't believe for a second that Sabine and Hera would just be like, "Well, we're going to do what we can for 10 years."
Tangled. I'm sorry.
I feel so called out right now. I feel so
Sorry.
called out. So called out. Because what you can't see on this wall is like it's just all tangled.
Tangled is
It's
one of
just
my favorite Disney movies
it's my
ever.
wedding theme, homegirl. Like it was
Oh,
my
yeah.
wedding
See, we
theme.
were meant to be friends. Okay.
Lila, you want to just come watch the show with me? I feel like you and I are going to be like really solid like
For
watch
real.
buddies. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous because I just don't see a reality where like Hera and Sabine wouldn't be turning over every stone in the galaxy, as it were, whether it's inner rim, outer rim, wild space, whatever it is, trying to find Ezra and Big Blue. So I gotta stop calling them that.
Sabine has a little more freedom because Hera is General Syndulla at this point, and she
Correct.
has a child. She has to be a little more diplomatic and on the side of the rebellion. And she doesn't have the freedom to just up and leave and go on a hunt. And I think that it allows Sabine the freedom to do so if she so chooses, but she kind of
John, I want to be wrong. Let me tell you, I see your comment. I don't think she was there for 10 years. I think she moved in after traveling with Ahsoka in their initial search for Ezra. I want to be wrong. Here's why I am concerned. Because all of the sort of early stuff we've seen with these trailers has her with that long hair, and then she has that dramatic moment where like she cuts her hair and the internet lost their minds over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like by the time I want to be wrong, right? But by the time we see her go back to Ahsoka, her hair is short again. So I guess we're gonna find out together, right? Like we don't. I want to be wrong. Trust me, I want to be wrong.
Yeah, now it's not just a Jedi thing. I'm just saying it's not. But anyway, I really think that having her take this time apart and just kind of grow herself and get the strength that she needs to maybe try again. I trust Dave Filoni. I read that he's been head writer in all of the episodes of Ahsoka. So I trust him not to screw it up and to
I'm just gonna
be
gonna
respectful
let you
of
keep
canon.
talking.
Yeah, you just keep drinking the juice, the Melu run over there, lady.
It's just
No.
water, I promise. It's
It
just
should be
water.
Melu run juice, but yeah,
I'm
that's my
deep in my
feelings
I
on it.
can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, so I'm gonna enjoy
I
this water.
understand. Okay, you are allowed to. You're allowed to
But
say
here's the
it.
thing, and listen, fam, like, this is why I love doing the show with Ashley, right? Because I feel like if you have a show where everybody agrees on everything 100% of the
Bingo.
time, it's
It's
not
lame.
interesting.
It's
So
fine. Talking heads.
I am not the biggest fan of Mr. Dave Filoni, and that's fine. It's all good. Oh, there it is, Sarah Barnes. Hey. So I am not a huge fan of Dave Filoni, and that's okay. I have no ill will towards people who love him, and that's fine. But I worry about things because of exactly what Sarah just said. There's been a lot of retconning going on, and a lot of these works that have been retconned are like literally like 5 years old or less. So it's a little bit confusing and it's a little bit worrying. And as I've said before, I would love to be wrong. Like, I would love to be wrong, because when you care about characters the way that we care about characters like Sabine and Hera and Kanan and Ezra and Chopper and Zeb and on and on and on, you only want the best things for them. And if the best things are for them are Dave writing them, then that's great. Let's run with that. Let's roll with that. If the best thing is somebody else writing them, or trusting another creator to run with them, whether it's like an E.K. Johnston who wrote the Ahsoka book, or it's Marvel and the comics for Kanan, you have to love something enough to like let it go and let those stories be without having to retcon them in a TV show. So all this to say, as at least for me, as I continue appearing on this show and on this network, I'm not actively here to like bash Dave Filoni, but I am actively here to question some of his choices.
Yep.
So I feel like you have to say that, because I don't want people thinking like I hate, I hate the man. I'm just going to sit here and question him.
It's respectful.
So anyway, with all this in mind, we have to give a shout out when we talk about Sabine. We have to give a shout out to the two performers that have brought Sabine to life. Of course, Tia Sakar lent her voice to Sabine for 4 seasons.
Yes.
I can't imagine any, like, I see a picture of Sabine and it's just her voice in my ear. So really, really incredible casting there. Really grateful that we had Tia Sakar for 4 seasons.
Right.
I also think it's really important that with Sabine being, an Asian coded character, that we had a person of color, who I think she's Indian, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
lending her voice to Sabine. I think that's really important and really special. So I love that. And then, of course, we are moving into this new era with Sabine, where we have Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who is going to be our live action Sabine, who I think is just gorgeous. I will tell you,
oh my goodness,
she absolutely looks the part. I could not be happier, at least with the visuals. Obviously we'll see what it's like when we get her for 10 episodes, but she absolutely nails the part. She nails the look. So I'm very happy with, at the very least, the visual casting, and I'm sure I'll be happy with her performance as well. We'll see what she brings to the table.
She gives like a certain, and this is based on what's in the trailer, like you can still see that she's very much Sabine, but she's older, so she has like a level of coolness to her. And obviously, like her whipping around on the speeder bike and dodging that so good. And the little look,
the speeder bike scene was really good.
Excuse me, Mark, you and Danu Novo need to make that helmet, because I will buy one all day long. By the way, Sabine Wren season 2 helmet is sold out on Denuo Novo, so keep a lookout for season 4 Sabine, and Mark is pushing hard for the live action Sabine helmet to go on the site, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah,
I have no space for all these helmets. I'm like looking around, imagine, where am I gonna put like 6 helmets? I mean, I already have 1 up, and that's already killing me.
Totally worth it.
So yeah, it is. And it'll be interesting. We were talking about this before we went live. Sabine already has a Mando helmet. Sabine also has the Darksaber. She was a month old when I bought her that like $300 Disney lightsaber. Like, I don't This
Wow.
kid's not hurting for anything right now. She's good.
She's got all
Um,
the stuff. And
she's got all the stuff.
so I have Tia Sarkar here. It was from her Instagram
Yeah.
stories with my friend's daughter, Kira, dressed as Sabine. So they got the photo op with them, and you can see Freddie and Taylor in the background laughing, but she was so excited to see her there. That was in 2019 Chicago, but yeah, just so cool. So cool to that they love the fam this much. And
It'll be interesting to see, we're already starting to see a lot of like merch come out for this show.
and
There they are again.
that's her parents, Ryan and Crystal, with the Ghost crew. All that was missing was Steve, but yeah, it's so cool. It's so awesome. So shout out to Star Wars Rebel Family on Instagram, my friends Ryan and Crystal and Kira.
Yeah, so we're coming up on our time here. So
Yeah, we got some
we're
things we have to discuss.
yes.
We have the VCN baseball jerseys that are available until the end of this month. So make sure you get your orders in now. Spencer's got the first 2 batches
2
in.
weeks. There they are.
2 weeks. Yes. So make sure you get your customized jerseys ASAP. They look really cool. He did an unboxing and it looks amazing.
Sports
Also,
ball. Oh my gosh, I'm so
girl,
excited about this. Okay, I'm
girl,
so excited.
we
so
have
excited.
shirts.
We have merch.
Merch. Okay,
There they
check
are.
this
Oh my
out. Oh my god, I love this. When? Okay.
Okay,
You can
so
get your fashionable Daughters of the Galaxy logo shirt that you see Sabine wearing here.
let's party. I'm psyched.
Yes. And
Okay.
you got to talk about that one that I know you want to talk about that one.
Yeah, I have to. Okay, so a couple of things. One, everything looks great, and the man behind the curtain was literally just right there, and we love
Dave.
you so much, Dave, for making us merch. That is so great. My What Would Hera Do shirt made it, and I'm over the freaking moon over that. But I also want to let you know so that the shirt that Sabine was wearing that has our logo on it, it's on white. It actually looks good on a couple other colors because I was messing around with it. It comes on tie-dye.
Yeah, get yourself a tie-dye shirt. So
you get
cool.
it tie-dyed.
And
Which I think
TeePublic is having a
stupendous.
sale right
Yes,
now.
for
So
like
all shirts,
$17.
$16. Yes, it's
See,
gorgeous.
party.
Right here. I feel like love. Get it.
So yeah, let's all have sick matching t-shirts. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm gonna place my order probably tomorrow.
We
Probably
also,
when the sale is over, but
yeah, it's yes, woo! The Dave behind the curtain.
I will literally never be cooler than this. So I'm
Yeah.
embracing it.
So the figures that they have on that shirt are like obviously Leia, Padme, Hera, Sabine,
There they
Barriss
are.
Offee, Mon Mothma. We get the real ladies, and we also have Ahsoka inspired ones. So we have Master, that line, and the I am no Jedi question mark with Sabine's helmet. I love that one. So it's definitely worth checking out. And that What Would Hera Do shirt is just
I'm psyched.
best
I
pick.
am
So good.
like such a great text today when he posted those. I was like, yeah, I'm really happy.
I'm in trouble. Yeah, so I think the sale is up for another 2 days, another 48 hours. So if you guys
But
wanna
it's
grab those
TeePublic,
shirts,
so there's like always a
it's
sale
for,
going
yeah,
on.
there'll be a sale next week. We still have our Pride merchandise, the big gay explosions, still happening. We still have our Patriot merchandise that is still up. Check out this Pride shirts; they're gorgeous. Mark was modeling our Pride tank on Monday, and it was total gun show. Total gun show.
Totally
Yeah,
was.
that tank looked amazing to him, so he's pulling it off. Like that man goes on vacation and he comes back buffer. Like what the heck?
I think it's cute that he works out. I'm literally getting on a 7-night cruise and I don't even want to know where the gym is. Like I don't want to know.
I just
I'm
want to
gonna
know where the
actively
candy
avoid it.
bar is.
Pretty much. Where's
Right.
the free ice cream? I paid for my ice cream. I don't care about lifting weights. Mark, you're a hero.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so there's so much going on. We have the Thursday night watch along tomorrow night with
Mhm.
the usual suspects, the gentleman in the chair, often. David, Spencer, and Jeff for the virtual Cantina watch along. And Dave, could you refresh my memory and let me know what you guys are watching this week? Do you have that handy? I'm gonna see if I can find it.
I'm also looking. And
I'm calling you out. I'm sorry. It's gotta be on Instagram. So
We got this. We got this.
We can do this. We're just,
Uh-oh. Let's see.
Oh, I got it. There you go.
So we're still in, Summer of Snips.
Clone Wars season
There it
4, episodes 14, 15, 16, and 18. Like, I know that. I love it. Yes. And we also have the Unifying Force on Sunday with Dave, Dio, and Kat. And they'll be discussing what if Ahsoka had not left the Jedi Order. So make sure you tune in for those. It's going to be amazing. And of course, Mark will be back with me on Monday for Rebels Revisited. That is if everything goes well in San Diego. I know it's going to be a long weekend, and boy is probably going to be tired. But yeah.
Yes. So as we talked about as we open the show, we are trying really hard to link all of these characters together, especially as we get ready for the summer, or as we culminate the Summer of Snips with the beginning of Ahsoka. So that Ahsoka episode is on the horizon. We have one more before Ahsoka, who I think is Mon Mothma.
Yeah, it is.
All right, there it is. It's Mon Mothma. So
Yes.
we have Mon Mothma on the docket. We have Ahsoka on the docket. We have a very interesting show with Luminara and Barriss coming up. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
All this to say that we are also, we appreciate the audience participation on this. So of course, if there are characters that you want to see or characters that you think we should see, we have a list going, but that certainly doesn't mean that we wouldn't be open to the idea of moving names around if need be. So you can either hit us up in the group, you can message us, you can hit us up on Instagram, whatever it's going to be. And we want this show to be as much for you guys as it is for us, because it's not a passion, it's a passion project for us, but it's, we appreciate the fact that you guys are here too, of course. So
we get really nerdy, and we want you guys too. So yeah, very excited. And honestly, thank you guys once again for another awesome week. Yes, Pelly, we gotta get into Pelly. Like, we'll do.
Listen, I had this like fleeting thought as I was working on like 2 hours of sleep the other day, because like Pelimoto definitely came up on my list, but I think I'm gonna go crash the Jedi Archive show and go talk about Avar Kriss and Vernestra. Can we get would it be weird to have one of them on this show so I can talk about High Republic women?
No.
Can you read the books, Ashley, so we can talk about High Republic women?
Give me a list and I'll start ordering them. I really want to
read the first one.
I have the graphic. I have the Light of the Jedi, and I have the first graphic novel. So.
Yeah, I don't read those yet. We got lots to get to before you get there.
Girl. Yeah, definitely Fennec Shan. Sarah's like, let's do High Republic, of course. Yes. Fennec is
so long as I have air in my lungs, there will be a High Republic women, because
Claudia Gray will be in Boston.
Oh, come on! I'm gonna forward my therapy bills to that woman.
Yeah,
Let's party.
You can come to my table. Just fly up to Boston. You can use my exhibitor badge. You can go and be like, listen, I have questions now.
Would love to talk about Marva and the one F-bomb that we could have had.
R.I.P. Marva. R.I.P. F-bomb. Chickened out, Disney. You chickened out.
All right. Lila, message me. I'll get you the list. Ashley, I'll just text it to you. I feel like I've texted it already, but that's all right. I have it. I have it.
No, you did not, Queen.
I have a toddler. I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. So, Dr. Afra, that's definitely on the list.
Absolutely.
We love a trash human. That's for sure. Find her. Yeah.
We have an F-bomb chart. Yeah.
All right, friends. Well, with that in mind, thank you once again for joining us, spending your Wednesday evening for us. We hope that we did our girl Sabine Wren justice. We hope that you're excited for Ahsoka. We hope that you will join us again on our next show 2 weeks from now. We're going to be talking about the one, the only Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma's back. Yes.
All right, friends.
Have a good week.
Until then, may the Force be with you. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.